It's Tony Tonkin here from Things That Matter, and I've got with me, of course, it's Avery Hilditch. We're going to talk about a very important subject: is do votes matter? And so I'd just like to welcome everybody to Things That Matter. So welcome back everybody to Things That Matter, and as all of you have been aware, I guess, unless you're living in a cave somewhere, there's been a very important election held in the United States, and it has been won by Joseph Biden. And so today, Avery and I wish to talk about all of that under the heading, Do Votes Matter, given what happened in the US. So, Avery, welcome.
How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I went and had a game of golf today, so with a newfound friend. So
Yep.
that was good. So I've had a very good, relaxing day. It's been fabulous. It's
Good.
been a great weekend.
Yeah, we had a good weekend, a good day today. We went up to a local garden centre looking for new plants for the garden,
Fantastic.
and we came back with a hat.
Well, that's what one does when one looks for something that needs a covering. I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. Ground covering, head
Yeah,
covering.
well, I was just saying we were looking for ground cover, and we came back with a hat, with a head cover.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't your head that needed to be covered, I believe.
No.
No. Okay.
Sasha's head was baking.
All right. Well, it's a bit warm today, wasn't it? It's up around.
It certainly was.
So we'd like to welcome others who have joined in this conversation, and those that have not joined us live but have joined us later, welcome, and please contribute to the conversations that Avery and I have. And so, Avery, your first response to the election.
The right person won. It's as simple as that. The right person won. There's been 4 years of incompetence, sexism, racism, lies, 28,000 plus lies and counting. He's got another 2 months, so he might make 30,000. But yes, he should never have been in the office in the first place. He played into problems that already exist in the United States, played them up, and he just carried on doing so, completely unfit for office.
Yeah, and his it's an embarrassment in 1,000 different ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably. And I guess we've talked about this in the past too, the degree to which he is an embarrassment. But and I don't know if that means, though, that because we think he's an embarrassment, if he's just an embarrassment to the United States, the people of the United States, and is that about us sticking up for them, given they've chosen such a crappy individual to represent them? You know?
I think that, well, we can say what we like in defence of the people that voted for Hillary Clinton. Excuse me. We can say what we like about the votes that were cast in 2016 for Donald Trump. What we say doesn't matter. What does matter is what we saw this past week. Is it's about 150 plus million people got out to vote. Well, I think it's over 60% of the people that are eligible to vote. I think it's well over 60% of the people that were eligible to vote that actually went out and voted, compared to less than 50% last time. I think that is a reflection upon the character of the incumbent. It's a reflection on Trump's character.
And it was also so Biden actually wound up with a larger number of people voting for him than Clinton. And it was the largest it's the largest numbers that have ever turned out for any election. So I guess there's really some interesting things here, isn't there? Because did Biden's behaviour create an environment which just so irritated so many people on both sides of the spectrum?
Trump's behaviour.
On one side, I guess on one side, people became enthusiastic to some extent about Trump and what he offered them. On the other side, they were repelled by him. and it was kind of like both of these sides came out to fight it out, and the side that actually seemed to win was the side that that was probably not more angry, but more disappointed and recognised they needed to make a change for their country's sake.
Yeah, as I said, we've had 4 years of a person in the White House who's been lying. He's done nothing to unify the country. He's played to his base. Whenever he's given a speech, he hasn't been speaking to the American people. He was speaking to the whatever the number was, 55 million that voted for last time. And a good candidate would speak to all of the Americans. Same here. A good candidate here would speak to all Australians, not just those that vote Labor.
But that was one of the major criticisms of him too, wasn't it? That he didn't work to improve upon his base.
Yeah,
he just did this hardcore of 35 to 40% people, I guess, that supported him, and he didn't extend it beyond any of that. And I think as a result, he paid the price. I think the Republicans have therefore paid the price.
Yeah, and he made no effort whatsoever in the 4 years to broaden that base. He made no effort whatsoever. All of his comments about Lives Matter or Antifa being fascists, and when Antifa means anti-fascist, all the comments that he were making about it was all rioting. There was nothing wrong whatsoever. The ultra right weren't doing anything wrong. It was only the radical left that was causing all the problems. And there'd be a protest, and he would accuse them. There'd be a protest against a cop kneeling on a guy's neck for 9 minutes and killing him. People would protest against that, and Trump would be attacking those protesters when he should have been defending the protesters' First Amendment right to go out and protest. And he would attack the media for defending that First Amendment right to go out and protest. Never once called people like the KKK. He told the Proud Boys to stand down and stand by. So we can expect the Proud Boys to get up now, because he told them to stand by. Well, now's the time for them to get up with their guns and whatever and start doing whatever they want to do. He did things, told white suburban housewives that he's made the neighborhoods they live in safer, because he struck down a regulation that forbade there used to be laws that said that this neighborhood was only for white people, and federal legislation was passed that criminalized that. He struck it down with an executive order, and then said, "I'm making the place safer for you because that order is gone." And the implication is that any African Americans move in there, all of a sudden your neighborhood is now a damn sight more dangerous, and it simply isn't true. It's a racist. It was a racist statement. He didn't say any racist words, but he didn't need to. He had got rid of a regulation that was basically a ban, if you like, on segregation.
Yeah. Oh. And do you like? I also wonder, Avery, what sort of significant changes are likely to take place in your view that now that Trump has won, is there likely to be a
Trump hasn't won. You keep swapping the names around.
Sorry, the fact that Biden has now won, is that likely to mean it's going to be a casual and appropriate transition of power, or do you think that he's going to stick the boot in and do even more horrendous things?
I don't think Biden would stick the boot in. I think that Biden would go for an orderly transition. The person that's going to have a screaming hissy fit is going to be Donald Stable Genius Trump. He will not go quietly.
Yeah.
He's proven it by his whining, constant whining, his lies about massive voter fraud. He hasn't offered a shred of evidence. He's repeated his lies about the millions of people voted illegally in 2016, and yet he appointed a commission to investigate that, and his own people said nothing to see here. There is no evidence of voter fraud. Right.
So, I guess, and the other thing too that fascinates me is that they boarded up some of the premises and stuff in Washington, whatever, and there hasn't been any extreme violence or anything that was anticipated.
Dancing in the streets.
Yeah, well, and I think both sides seem to be taking it. Well, the Biden side was pretty excited, obviously, and the other side was just disappointed.
Yeah.
But there weren't any guns going off and people being shot and riots happening and all that sort of crap at all. And I'm wondering whether that is the quiet before the storm. Like people are just mulling over this stuff and wondering what's going to happen, and that later on it may kind of erupt, and particularly I guess if he keeps pushing for the legal response and that taking it to the courts and all that other sort of stuff that he tends to want to do, if he continues to do that, will he then generate and whip up more hostility? And the other thing is that his bloody son, Don Jr., has been suggesting that they do take to the streets and that they go to war. I mean, what in the hell is that about? What sort of idiot are you, mate?
The son of Donald Trump. I wouldn't expect anything different from him. Like father, like son. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You chuck out, excuse me, throw out any aphorism like that. It applies. He has got. He's got. What is it? 5 children. Don Eric, Donald Trump Senior, the president.
He's got 4 children that we know of.
He's got 5. He's got Don and Eric.
Oh, yeah, he's got 5 too. Yeah, they're still children. They're children in the true sense of the word, mate.
Yeah. His girlfriend Ivanka. He's got Barron, Melania's son, and he's got the other one. The other one being Tiffany, and he was talking
1, 2, 3, 4, on 5,
talking on I think it was on Fox, talking about his kids, and he referred to Don and Eric and
Tiffany.
Barron and the other one.
Oh, the other one, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw her giving a speech though, and I thought she was the sane one in the family, right? Because she seemed to be out of it a fair bit because she doesn't share the same mother that the others do, and she's just as crazy as they are, I think. Firstly, supporting her father, I guess, makes her relatively insane, but she's just as crazy as they are. But I guess my feeling is that we've now got Giuliani out there doing his shit, and then we've got some politicians also suggesting that there should be more scrutiny of the results, and then we have Trump Jr. saying that we should go to war, and so on. And I think I've lost you, Avery. Is that true? Have I lost you? I will endeavour to get Avery back because at this particular point in time I seem to be just talking to myself. But I have got Avery's looking quite interested, quite startled there on the screen, so I don't know what that's all about. We'll see whether I can get Avery returned to us and see how that goes. So, yep, I will have to disconnect him and then reconnect him. Okay. This might appear to be a bit messy, but this is what you do when you're doing a live feed. Sometimes things just don't work out as they should. But I'm sure Avery will endeavour to reconnect with us if he can, because I've got a couple of videos that I wanted Avery to comment on in particular, because these are actually people that he loves. But one of them is a video which is of Miranda Devine. So one of the things that he's actually calling me. Hi Avery, I'm still online, mate. So
I lost my connection.
I wonder what happened there. Just reconnect, mate, and I'll try and do it again.
I've tried that and it said no.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I will send you a new stream key, mate.
Okay.
Just bear with, and then we will.
We'll carry on.
We will do. I'll carry on, and then everybody who's watching can just enjoy this transition. And
okay.
Also, I'll just send that to you right this minute. I guess this is the thing when you're doing a live feed, folks. Sometimes not everything works out as it should, and this is one of them. So did you get that, Avery? You got that?
I've got the link.
Good. Let's see what happens.
Join. There you go.
There you go. You're back. Look at that.
I'm back.
The wonders of technology.
It just suddenly dropped out. No idea why.
No, well, we can blame the technology, or we could just blame us. Let's just blame us, Avery, and
go for it.
And just take responsibility for whatever stuff up goes.
Yeah.
I was just saying though to our public, of which there are probably thousands of people watching us right now, Avery. We just don't know it. We're probably really popular because we're talking about a subject that everybody is interested in. In fact, really, everybody's probably really sick of this subject, I guess.
Yeah.
You know. But I was just going to play that Miranda Devine tape, and I thought we'll just listen to it on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okie dokie. There we go.
A week it's been. What do you make of the comment there from Ari Fleischer? Do you agree with him that the president needs to be given a few days here?
Well, I mean, he has until Inauguration Day anyway, so that's really moot. There's word already, Fox News has reported from the White House that the president is going to continue to explore all his legal options because this vote was very tight. I mean, particularly in Philadelphia, the Supreme Court has stepped in and told them to segregate late votes that came in after Election Day. Also, there is a legal action going on about the inability of Republican observers to actually...
What was that? Was that legalised? What was he talking about?
What she was doing was, excuse me, just repeating Fox News lies. There's a reason why they refer to Fox News as faux news. The SCOTUS did not tell the Pennsylvania government you must segregate the votes. SCOTUS said we've got nothing to say on this. The segregation of votes was what they call provisional votes, which are when somebody was sent out a paper ballot and they turn up on the day.
Yep.
What happens is that on the day they let them vote, but they take that thing and put it to one side, and then they check it later. And what the Pennsylvania law said is you've got to segregate those votes. It wasn't SCOTUS that said that they've got to do it. It was the Pennsylvania legislation said they've got to do it. And the people in the electoral offices doing all the counting and that, they did what their law said. They segregated those votes. And Trump can challenge all he wants. There's a lawyer called Ben Ginsberg, who was the lawyer who helped George W. Bush in 2000 against Al Gore, and he's been saying for nearly a week now. He's been going through the different court cases that suits that Trump has filed, and if you add up, saying the suits he's filed in Michigan, if you add up all the votes that it would recover, Biden would still be well ahead in Michigan. Devine there, she said something about tens of thousands of votes that it would make a difference with, and in Pennsylvania, take into account those votes, the segregated votes, and Biden is still streets ahead of Trump. Somebody said today that the Georgia governor had demanded a recount in Georgia. Well, Georgia law says that if there's less than 0.5% difference between the candidates in the presidential election, there'll automatically be a recount. So he doesn't need to demand anything. And on that, Trump has also been accusing the Georgia governor and the Georgia Secretary of State of trying to rig the election in Georgia, which doesn't make any sense because they're both Republicans.
Well, I guess
it shows how desperate the man is.
Well, what it tells us is that they're just odd people, really. I mean, that
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's no real grounds for any of these challenges. We know that, and they will be fruitless. And Biden will be on January the 20th. He'll be inaugurated.
Yeah.
What I'm fascinated is, look how glum Miranda looks.
Yeah.
Like there was a time I was playing some of the videos of her and Alan Jones, and they were looking jubilant. They were criticising the government. They were criticising Biden and referring to him as Sleepy Joe and all this sort of crap. They were emulating Donald Trump, and they looked fabulous. That somewhat, one of them said, and I wish I had I've probably got it here somewhere. I have to find it and play it at some point. Somebody said, one of these guys that I'm about to play later said he's going to win by a landslide.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you win by a landslide or you win by 20 votes, it's still a win.
Yeah.
One of
the talking heads on Fox News, which over the past couple of days I have had a look at to see what they're saying. One of these talking heads was saying, "Well, Biden hasn't got a mandate, right? At the moment, he's only 4.2 million popular votes. The popular vote ahead of Trump, and that's likely to climb up to nearly 6 million votes. And at the moment, Trump has got Biden has. I'm doing what you were doing. Biden has got 290 electoral college votes, and he's very likely to get another 16. Now that would give him 306 electoral college votes, which is what the hell's that lead? That's 30. That's a 50 odd. No, a 30 odd electoral college vote win for him.
Well, it's 36.
38.
What he needed, I guess.
Yeah. And
so
how is that not a mandate? Does a mandate mean that you've got to have 100% of the vote go for you?
Well, given that their system sucks. I mean, we talked about this the other day, didn't we, about the electoral college, and it's just a crazy idea. Only the Americans could think of something so stupid. I'll just come back to Miranda, but I just realised I don't think I was able to stop where we finished. So we just might have to hear some of her again, and then I'll stop it after that.
Yep.
A week it's been. What do you make of the comment there from Ari Fleischer? Do you agree with him that the president needs to be given a few days here?
Well, I mean, he has until Inauguration Day anyway, so that's really moot. There's word already, Fox News has reported from the White House that the president is going to continue to explore all his legal options because this vote was very tight. I mean, particularly in Philadelphia, the Supreme Court has stepped in and told them to segregate late votes that came in after Election Day. Also, there is a legal action going on about the inability of Republican observers to actually watch those mail-in ballots be opened and counted. So that goes on. There's other legal action going on in Michigan, Wisconsin, elsewhere. So, and Georgia is going to do a recount. So, you can't expect that the president is going to roll over right now and concede because basically it's the Associated Press and the New York.
Avery, why can't we expect him to roll over? Every other president over their 200 odd year history, whatever it is, has decided that when the people speak and the votes are against them, they leave.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you expect this jerk to just Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's because he's a jerk that he's not going to roll over and allow the votes to be what they
It's
are.
because he's a malignant narcissist. Everything is about him. When there's all this thing about that's been going on in the past 10 months about COVID, is look how's it affecting him, right? You know, it's all these people losing their jobs. That's really bad for me. Everything is about him, and if he was to admit that if he was to concede, he would be basically saying I was wrong. You know, he was predicting a landslide for him. We're easily going to win this. He'd have to. A concession means he admits he's wrong, and he's not prepared to admit that he could ever be wrong about anything. And Miranda Devine.
About time. Sorry, go on. Yeah,
I was going to say Miranda Devine. She might be. Well, somebody said to me she's a good reporter, and my immediate response was, "Well, she's a reporter." I don't think she's a good reporter. She's no different, in my opinion, to somebody like Sean Hannity. She's a talking head.
Well, Hannity's not a reporter anyway.
I know he's not, and I don't think Miranda Devine is either, because a reporter would say, "This is what the news was.
Yeah.
This is what happened today." What she does is expresses her opinion, and her opinion is as baseless as Trump's. She said, for example, about a really close margin, particularly in Philadelphia. Right? In Philadelphia, Biden was routinely getting over 80% of the vote. If he's getting 80%, that's around 60% difference, right? 60 percentage point difference. There is nothing close about that, right? What was the other one that she said in there? I mean, I was just saying lie as she was going through, or maybe I should say wrong. But I'm sure she knows that 60 percentage points is not close. But she in my opinion, she's not a reporter. She's certainly not a good reporter, and she's no different to somebody like Sean Hannity.
Who said she was a good reporter?
A certain person that you and I interviewed one day on one of these episodes. I won't mention his name on here.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe she has made some good reportings in the past where they weren't opinion pieces, but she's gone to the dark side now. So
if she's expressing an opinion,
I actually can't judge her on previous writings because number one, I've never read her, so that's to be honest. Number two, all I ever hear from her is on Fox doing these opinion pieces. So, but she might be a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter. Who knows?
She may be.
Right at this moment, she's not. She's back on the wrong bloody horse.
When
she's
Kieran,
not reporting, as you say.
Yeah, when Kieran, whatever his name is, I can't remember, Kieran Gilbert, gets her on and asks her a question like that, he's asking for an opinion. And she's expressing an opinion she's entitled to do, and I will defend her right to express that opinion. But she's wrong, because the things that she's saying there were wrong. Yeah. And demonstrably wrong.
And when you're a journalist, the expectation is that if you have the facts, you mention the facts.
Yeah.
If you haven't got the facts, you mention that the reporting is incomplete because you don't have the facts.
Yeah.
And it's like the AAP, for example, not reporting the outcome of the election because they didn't have enough facts and there were too many votes yet to be counted. So, and it's. I mean, that's good journalism, isn't it? When you think about it, and I think, then there's this criticism of U.S. politics because it is the media. Ironically, I think this is strange. It is the media that will declare a winner. I haven't heard. There's no. In Australia, it's the Electoral Commission that calls the winner.
Well, it is. It is in the United States. It is in the United States. Say it is.
But you don't hear that. You don't hear that, do you?
No. What the media are doing, whether it's CNN or Fox or MSNBC, whichever one, it doesn't matter. What they're doing is they're looking at the votes that have been cast, the votes that have been counted, and saying how many are left. what are the trends. So in Pennsylvania, for example, in Philadelphia County, Lehigh County, when they were looking at the trends of the voting, the huge percentages were going to Biden, and project that across even in red counties when they looked at the mail-in votes, a much larger percentage of mail-in votes were going for Biden than were going for Trump. So the media organizations look at those results that they've got. They look at they do their analysis and say, well, if this continues, we're predicting that Biden's won. The actual decision doesn't happen until the vote count is certified. That'll be round about the 14th of December, I think it is. The states will appoint each state will appoint the electoral college on I think it's the 8th of December. On the 14th, the electors get together. It goes on the 26th of December, I think, to the federal government. In the federal government, either party can contest the slate, as all the states call it. If they don't like that particular slate, they then debate it in the lower house, in the House of Reps, and in the Senate. If both agree that there's something wrong with that slate, then that slate has got to be changed by the state government. Yep. It may just be that one person has got to come off, right? But if both houses agree to that change happens. If both houses don't agree, and with a Republican Senate and a Democratic House, you're not going to get that agreement, or unlikely to get that agreement, then the result stands. Whatever that slate is remains as it is. I learned this just a couple of days ago after that other video that we did. Another thing I learned is that they have a thing that they call faithless electors. You might remember I said how the electoral college, the electors are told you've got to vote this way because Biden won Pennsylvania. You've got to cast 20 votes for Biden. Sometimes the electors won't do it. A lot of the states have introduced legislation, or already had legislation that to deal with the faithless electors, where they would say, "Okay, we're pulling you from that slate, and we're replacing with somebody who's going to do their job." Some of the states will fine that person, that faithless elector. They call them a faithless elector because they're not keeping faith with the will of the people in that state. All right, they're saying, "I don't care what the people have said. This is what I want to do." Some of the states, as I said, they already had fines for faithless electors, and other states have introduced it in the past 12 months.
All right, so let's move on though, and let's have a look at the rest of. I don't know how much is left of this, but we'll let Miranda Devine. Fancy having a name like Miranda Devine, like Divine. What?
Well, she didn't choose it.
Well, it reminds you of diviners. Those guys used to walk around with two sticks joined together.
That might be where she gets her opinions from.
Yeah, from walking. Who knows?
That came out straight off the bat today and made that announcement. And it's not really up to news organisations to decide who is the president. There still is 70 million people who voted for Donald Trump. And I would say that a good proportion of them currently feel that the election is being stolen from them. So unless you can reassure them that that's not the case, no amount of sweet talking by Joe Biden or anyone else basically telling people that they need to accept this result is going to make any difference. It's really beyond Donald Trump. It's those 70 million people. And if you don't have those people agreeing that this vote was fair and reasonable and legitimate, then you have a serious problem. It's already a polarised country. So I think that jumping the gun is a big mistake, and I wouldn't expect that the president's going to do anything in the next day or two.
The two senior Republicans in Pennsylvania, the Speaker and the House Leader, are reported by Fox News as saying they've seen no evidence of fraud or irregularities. And then, Miranda, you've also got this situation where world leaders, it's not just a couple of media organisations in the US, it's Boris Johnson, Narendra Modi, leaders from around the world congratulating Joe Biden. It seems that the events have moved on beyond what the president is willing to accept.
Yeah, but it's not about what the president is willing to accept or what Boris Johnson says from London. It's about the reality of what's going on with these legal actions. These legal actions are going on. I don't really understand how Republicans in Pennsylvania who are making these comments can say that, because at the moment there is a serious question about why Republican observers...
So do you want to comment about any of that?
Absolutely. She said something that is absolutely correct. She said she doesn't understand. Right?
Well, yeah, well, that's true. Well,
she does not understand.
How about that? We agree with something that Miranda Devine has said. That's amazing, mate.
I would like to know how she thinks that her opinion, right, carries more weight than the Republican governor and Republican Secretary of State in Pennsylvania. Why is her opinion more valid than what the people on the ground are actually saying? Here she is 8,000 miles away, whatever the distance is, 12,000 kilometers away, and they're right on the ground in Pennsylvania.
No, she's in New York. She's
okay,
reporting from New York.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But
even then, she's not on the ground in the electoral offices and things like that. She's sitting somewhere, probably in Trump Tower. But she's sitting somewhere in New York then, offering her... She's not reporting, she's offering her opinion on what's going on, and she's wrong. She is saying that she knows more than the Republican governor and the Republican Secretary of State in the state that she's criticizing. They're saying there is no evidence of fraud or irregularity, and she's saying, we don't know.
Well, I think that she considers herself to be quite omniscient, you know?
Yeah, well, divine.
Yeah, like
divine.
Because she's Miranda Devine.
Yeah.
So that would give her the opportunity to connect with powers way beyond anything that us mere mortals could connect to.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's self-explanatory, really, as to who this woman is. And I guess the issue for me is that there are governors, such as the Republican governor of Philadelphia, and other governors where the elections have been close, who are not criticised often. And it just and there's still this, you know, like if it was a Democratic, of course, if it was a Democratic governor, then there must be some shenanigans happening here that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, Trump's been talking about the elections being rigged, right? Stealing the vote, but that's only happening in states that he's losing or lost. The election, which was completely fair in North Dakota, but in Pennsylvania, it was rigged.
That's right.
She buys into that garbage.
And the other fantastic thing is that all the Democrats have somehow universally got together with, you know, the 50 states or whatever to collude against, you know, to change their election results to collude against Trump, you know, so which would be a massive effort in itself. And if they're that good at colluding, why in the hell didn't they deal with collude around the coronavirus?
Yeah,
instead of
sort it out with that. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
I do.
Can I just say one other thing about Miranda Devine?
Oh, please.
Maybe once upon a time she was a good reporter. Now she's just a talking head expressing an opinion. I listening to her talk, right, on there and on. I've seen her on Sky News and things like that before. I think that she's probably one of these that thinks that chemtrails are real and that the Earth is flat. She just seems to buy into any conspiracy theory that comes down the pike.
Yeah. because I don't know why. Actually, I'm
If she
beyond
was a-
even trying to guess why people.
Yeah. If she was a
those
good
sorts of
reporter at one
views.
time, she is no longer that.
Yeah, she's gone. Well, as I said earlier, she's gone to the dark side. Now,
Yeah.
I do have a response from Fox News that I'll be interested in your response to as well. So not just Miranda. So these are the people that I love to hate, apart from Alan Jones and
Andrew Bolt.
Murray and Andrew Bolt. Apart from those guys, Fox News is pretty good. Apart from the fact that it's owned by Rupert Murdoch. Okay, but let's just have a wander through some of the crap they have to say.
Stone unturned as we discuss the US presidential election results and try to work out if Trump still has a chance, or is it simply a case of
Actually, I don't mind. I've got to say,
She's
what
got a nice
they're
voice.
about to, what I'm about to say is really offensive. This to me is really offensive, and I'm not going to swear on a family show, but you just watch what they say, Avery, and you tell me. Oh, I got offended when they first said this.
Before you do, that reference is to the expression, it's all over when the fat lady sings.
That's right. That's what they say.
A senior staffer in the White House said exactly that. It's all over because the fat lady's
Is that
sung.
where it came from?
Yep.
Oh, well, but to actually have
It is offensive.
an opera singer who's got a fabulous voice, to refer to her as the fat lady, I think is a really inappropriate reference.
Yeah.
But anyway,
It's exactly what I would expect
Bloody
from
Fox
Fox
News.
News.
Yeah, exactly, mate. That's exactly what
Yeah.
I think. So continue with the crap and let's see what they have to say.
has the fat lady sung or not? Already there's a chance that the US Supreme Court will rule, or could rule, that the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court violated the US Constitution, and the votes that arrived after 8 p.m. on election day will be discarded. We shall see. But the bigger question is, what does a Biden presidency mean for not only America, but for the rest of the world and us here in Australia? Looking in the crystal ball, it ain't pretty. A Potemkin president, a doddery old man propped up as a flimsy facade to a sinister socialist machine. Are we seeing the birth of a new USA, the United Stalinist States of America? James and Rita, they're popping the champagne across America, but I imagine they're also...
Can you believe that he regurgitated so much crap as, that stuff around, Stalinist America and,
As soon as I saw Rowan Dean
my
was coming
God.
on, I knew what we were in for. That
Oh,
man,
what? Look, I don't mind saying this, mate. He has to be the biggest friggin' jerk I've ever come across. I'd hate to name call, but there are exceptions to that rule. And for God's sake, he and Alan Jones and Paul Murray and the others, and my friend Bolt, they're all the frickin' same. I mean, thank God no one gives a crap about our little chats. Really, buddy,
Yeah.
because if we were on TV, we'd be ripping the daylights out of these guys because they're full of shit.
of those that you mentioned there, Rowan Dean is by far the worst. He has got no idea what he's talking about. He is so far over to the right that he makes Hitler look like a communist. He is a despicable.
He's a
piece of
revolting
shit.
human being.
Yes,
The stuff that comes out of his mouth, it's a total. What annoys me, I guess, is that it's a total sense of unreasonableness.
yeah,
As you have often said to me, Avery, and I couldn't agree more. Let's have a discussion. Let's hear what other people have to say. Let's try and understand what people are saying, right? But explain it to me. If you want to sit with that view for the rest of whatever, regardless of what I say, then that's fine. I'm happy with that. But these people come out attacking from the most irrational perspectives that I can imagine. I must confess, I've never sat down with Rowan Dean, thank God. Never had a conversation with him about his views and why he holds those views, so I guess we need to accept that. But at the end of the day, his views are shit.
yes.
The way he presents them.
He
It just
him
crazy.
and the others, Andrew Bolt, Miranda Devine, self-righteous, right?
Do you
I
think-
know best.
Do you think we
and-
could have them on our little YouTube channel?
Oh, I would love to have Rowan Dean in here. I would have to turn the camera off while I was strangling him, but I wouldn't.
We could.
Well,
I tell you what, that would probably improve the number of people watching, mate.
I think
Ron
it would.
Dean being strangled on Things That Matter YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah,
would
things that
probably
matter. Rowan Dean, you don't.
Yeah, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah.
So
No,
let's see what
Rowan
else-
Dean is a self-righteous, arrogant prick.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
He
and
is not
that's not-
prepared to listen to the other point of view. And if Rowan Dean was on the far left and doing the same thing, I would be criticizing him. I don't like
Absolutely.
left-wing, self-righteous, arrogant pricks either.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, it doesn't matter which side of politics. If you're not
Yeah.
going to listen and you're not going to understand what other people are saying, it's just
Yeah.
that I could listen to his stuff, but I don't understand what he's trying to tell me because his language is so extreme.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
This
trying to tell you that he's
Stalinist
right
stuff
and you're
and
wrong.
Well, oh Jesus, but
Right.
it's not backed up. There's no evidence. You know,
He-
it's like a plethora of conspiracy theories, mate.
Yeah.
He just throws this shit out there and expecting some of it to sit against the wall. But I guess there must be a whole host of people that watch that crap on Fox News, including you.
Unfortunately, and yeah, I see it occasionally. So he's got a program on Sunday morning called The Outsiders, and I make sure we watch the news before that, but I make sure that as soon as the news is finished, I don't care what channel I'm going to. I'd rather watch Fox News than watch that arrogant prick. You know, he
So let's
he
see what else
drives
he
me
and his
insane.
fellow- Well,
Do we
we've got
have to?
three incredibly arrogant people here, and I love it. I've got to get, as I said before, I've got to get these videos I've got of them, Alan Jones and everybody else saying that they're gonna. I'll do a mashup of some of these videos I've saved over time. Of them saying that Donald Trump's going to win, it's going to be fabulous and whatever. And now that he hasn't, and I'm curious. I downloaded these videos because Avery, it's an interesting study in what losing looks like, and
Yeah.
how these guys try and just. So in a moment they start talking about. So what they do is they switch from the United States to the impact all of this is going to have, how we're going to treat China differently, or how Biden's going to treat China differently. So just watch some of this crap they carry on with.
The corks in Beijing, Tehran, Geneva, and Brussels. Have you two hit the minibar yet?
Well, no, I don't think we've hit the minibar yet, but I'll tell you what, there's an awful lot of people out here in New York City, which is deeply, deeply Biden country, who are celebrating, and I suspect they're probably also popping the corks in places like Beijing, as you said. I'm going to be talking a bit more about the foreign policy implications of this a bit later on in the show, but I just think that everybody needs to be very concerned about this because, remember, Joe Biden is absolutely the candidate of Beijing and the Chinese Communist Party. I don't know how many people out there saw what the Chinese yuan, their currency, did during those few hours when it.
Right, Avery. I think I just saw you on Rendezvous go. Oh shit.
yeah.
Do you want to make a comment about that?
Foreign policy. What is going to be different? Joe Biden is not going to suck up to dictators like Putin. He's not going to suck up to dictators like MBS, the Saudi crown prince. He's not going to suck up to little rocket man, Kim Jong-un. He's not going to suck up to any of the other dictators like that. He is going to treat our prime minister with respect. He's going to treat the UK Minister, the German Chancellor, the French President. He's going to treat them with respect. He's going to look at them and say, "You're my equals." He's not going to go into a crowd of foreign leaders and push one of them out of the way so he can get in front of the camera.
Oh, ain't that the truth? I still think that gets played on.
Yeah,
Who plays
And
that?
to hear-
The Lincoln Project have played that
Yeah.
a few times,
And-
and
and
somehow
to-
now
to hear
this
Morrow
is another
talking
issue.
about the change in foreign policy,
yeah,
right? He has bought into the lie, the proven lie that Biden received $1.5 billion from the Chinese, right? if one of the reasons I think that Trump, his cronies are in panic mode, is because Trump will no longer be protected from prosecution as the U.S. president. I'm sure that the Southern District of New York attorneys are salivating at the moment, waiting to start issuing indictments against him and his family. Ivanka was over in China on official business for the U.S. government, negotiating contracts for her own business.
Did you
That
see?
is-
Did you see
that is
Glenn?
a criminal offence.
Have you seen Glenn Kirshner's podcast?
I see a lot of Glenn Kirshner. Yeah.
Did you see the latest one where he's talking about taking the district, the Southern District of New York, whatever it is looking at all the things, and he listed all the things that Trump could be federally charged for.
Yeah.
Of which there are quite a few, including election fraud. So
Well,
there's an irony in that, given what he's accused of the other side of doing. You know,
Well, even the things that came out of the Mueller report on the obstruction, right? There was no evidence of a conspiracy with the Russians, but there was at least 4 things out of 11 where, if it had been anybody other than the president, I'm sure Mueller would have been issuing indictments for obstruction of justice. They haven't gone away. The statute of limitations might expire, which would protect Trump, but I don't know. And maybe
probably
maybe
not.
that's
If anything, it's only been 4 or 5 years, hasn't it? So.
and
there's some things federally that I think don't have a statute of limitation.
Yeah.
Statute of limitation doesn't apply to everything.
No,
it does. Would it apply to treason, for example?
I would imagine not.
I tell you what, I'm going to be curious about is if at the end of the day they get hold of all these tapes that they store in relation to the conversations he's had with others, and they hand. I wouldn't, if I was Joe Biden, I wouldn't go after Trump. I would just hand that information, whatever it is, over to the Justice Department and ask them to
absolutely not.
Investigate it. What?
No,
What would you do?
absolutely not. He shouldn't, because he then that you'd be you're feeding the Rowan Deans of this world, the Miranda Devines, the Alec Joneses in Infowars. You're feeding them if you do that, because then you're saying, look, the president is just trying to have a go at his predecessor, just like foreign dictators do.
No,
right?
you'd be taking. No, I think you misunderstand me. My point would be that you don't. You as the president don't go after him.
But if you say to the department,
you leave that decision up to others to decide whether or not he needs to be gone after or not, and whether he's broken any laws.
What I'm saying is,
I'm convinced, Avery, that if they had an opportunity to do exactly that with Obama, they tried, but they weren't successful because there was nothing there.
Yeah.
But if they just hand over to the Justice Department all the things, all the tapes, and all the other shit that is done or said to somebody else, the man's probably in trouble for treason.
Now the
What
issue I've got with
what if he hands over a secret, military secret, for example, to Putin?
Yeah, the issue I've got with what you're saying is that Biden does not want to be seen as the person initiating it. If he said, look, I've got all these tapes, you can have them, he's now up for being accused of initiating a witch hunt against his predecessor.
So
if on the other hand, if on the other hand his attorney general comes up and says, okay, we're going to investigate all these things, and then says to the White House, we need all of those tapes, and Biden says, yep, you can have them, that's a different issue. Biden hasn't initiated it.
Yeah, but in order for the Justice Department or anybody else to come up and say we're going to investigate these issues, they have to have a sense, or at least a belief, or some evidence that whatever it is that they're investigating is proof that they can prove it. So that doesn't have. They have to. So where's that information going to come from in the first instance?
So, well, how about the 11 items in the Mueller report of obstruction? There's
Well, one could
there's
argue
11
that,
right
well,
there. How about
the mother
Ivanka?
didn't go far enough. I understand that.
Yeah. How about Ivanka signing contracts for her own business and negotiating them while she is in China on government business? That is against the law. That's a federal offence, right? I don't know what Eric's been up to. Don is
Well, not
Don
much.
Jr.
You know, I don't know what Eric's capable of getting up to be honest. I mean, tell you what, let's do an IQ test on him. That man should not have children.
He'd fail.
He'd fail.
Yeah.
He'd fail in every category. But, you know, I think, I guess we agree that at some point there might be some sort of reprisal. Not reprisal, because that's not the right word either.
Justice.
There might be justice. That's just, it sounds like Ken now. I mean, Mr. Kirshner, Glenn.
Yeah.
Yes. There might be some sense of justice.
Yeah.
If and you know, rightfully so. If someone's contravened the law, they should be punished accordingly. And there have been lots of jokes about, you know, this is the end of Trump's term in office, but it's the beginning of his term in prison.
Yeah.
Someone once said. So, yes, maybe so. We can only rejoice.
Yes.
If he's guilty, I'm not going to.
He would look very nice in an orange jumpsuit.
It'd match his skin colour.
Yeah.
So what can I say?
And I think Ivanka would look very nice in a custom-made, you know, orange jumpsuit as well.
And the women would love her in there, wouldn't they? Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd be. Yeah.
And the men would love Don Jr.
Yeah. I don't think they'd go necessarily for Don Senior though.
A good place to be. You know, once a problem. I've just thought of this. A problem that that all of Trump and his cronies have got is that people who used to work for Obama or work for George W. Bush, when George W. Bush, when Obama left the presidency, these other people didn't have any trouble finding work, right? Who's going to employ, apart from an organization like Breitbart or InfoWars, who's going to employ somebody like Stephen Miller, right? Who's going to employ Mark Meadows?
But
would you want to employ a person like that?
No, well, exactly right. But what about Bannon? The statement he made about certain people's heads should be placed on stakes in front of the White House.
Biden's head should be put on a stake.
Who's going to employ that moron to start with? That is
Trump
the craziest bullshitty thing I've ever heard anybody say.
Yeah, but I mean, the people that work for him right now, they're going to have real problems. They're not going to get speaking engagements, not from in the same way that, say, Axelrod does.
No, but they might get
Van Jones
they might get them from RT though.
Oh yeah, definitely from them. For those who don't know, RT is a Russian television network.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and actually, the truth of that RT is taking our podcast as of next week.
Good.
We shouldn't knock them.
No.
They are planning to become suppliers of an infinite amount of information for us, because they recognise that the 13 subscribers we have are extremely powerful individuals. And they
vote matters.
Things that don't matter. Yeah. So let's just hear a little bit more, because I just got this thing on Fox News. So just hear a little bit more about that, and then I've got a little slice of just a couple of seconds of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's speech, which I think are just two parts that are quite relevant that needs to be talked about just to finish it off. So here we go.
Donald Trump was going to win a second term. It fell off a cliff. They knew that another term of Trump would be terrible for their economy. And now Trump's wolf warrior diplomats are all out on Twitter right now, teasing America about Trump losing and all of that. So they are very much looking forward to a weak and feckless Biden administration. And that, to me, spells big trouble, Rowan, for Australia.
And they were celebrating on Twitter today, the Chinese biggest daily newspaper, state-owned, obviously, the propaganda arm of the CCP. They were mocking Donald Trump and laughing at the election results. So they're not hiding their joy. They've got good reason to be happy. Trump has been very tough with China.
Well, you know what it is, Rita, is that, the left, the Biden campaign, they're the descendants of the Obama administration, which, of course, wanted to fundamentally transform America, in Barack Obama's famous words. Well, I think Joe Biden wants to, and I think the Chinese Communist Party wants to. So, all those supporters out there who were so concerned about Donald Trump being some sort of agent of the Russian state for the 4 years of his presidency actually would have something to worry about if they maybe didn't care so much about that. But it is fascinating. We saw out on the streets today in New York when CNN made the call, because I don't know, I must have missed the memo where now in the Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, CNN now certifies elections.
Exactly.
That people start whooping and cheering, and we've seen people marching down the streets. They're being peaceful this time because they don't have anything to be disappointed about.
No, I'm sure we were warned that Trump's militant supporters were going to be rioting, looting, burning down buildings. I mean, surely they're out there right now causing havoc.
Look, I will confess that I went and did a little looting myself of a big humidor room at a cigar shop, but then I paid for all of my purchases. So, yeah, not so much.
Oh, he's just an idiot. Let's
Those
face it.
three,
And it was Antifa that was going to do the looting and the stuff if Trump had won.
On Fox News a few days ago, they were talking about when people were boarding up their stores on Broadway or Times Square or somewhere. People boarding up their stores. Fox News were talking to some of the store owners, and what store owners were worried about wasn't the Biden supporters; it was the Trump supporters, and they were saying this on Fox News. These three: Paul Murray, Andrew Dolt, Alan Jones, Miranda Devine, if they'd been at Jonestown in 1968, they'd have drunk the Kool-Aid, because they've swallowed it all.
And they're still they're unswervable though, aren't they? They're not.
Yeah.
They're not likely to change their perspective on any of this. They're just going to still sell us the same crap that they've sold us. And so I just like the idea that they're talking about. They're talking about Biden being a puppet of China.
Yeah.
I think the fact is that Biden will be able to negotiate with China in a much more inclusive. Don't they realise that China's laughing at Trump?
Yeah.
They played him for a sucker around the tariffs and everything else.
One of the things that Trump did that really pleased China was pull out of the TPP.
Yeah.
The TPP, the whole purpose of it was apart from the free trade between the various countries and that, was to give a huge market that's opposed to the Chinese market. He scraps it. Now China's there sitting pretty. People are buying from China. We've got our free trade agreements with China. Peru's got free trade. The ones that are losing out is the United States.
Yeah.
Right? Because Trump, he knows best, and trade wars work and tariffs. The Chinese pay it? Well, no, they don't. The American taxpayer does. If we put tariffs on American goods, it would be, if our government put tariffs on American goods, then it would be us, you and me, and the 13 that are watching us, that'd be paying that price.
Yeah.
But
I was just fascinated, I guess, with the way that they had to. They weren't talking about the fact that Trump had lost the election.
No.
They were actually talking about the fact that for Australia, this is going to be catastrophic because Trump somehow helps us with our tariffs. Bloody hell, he does not. Right, we've got our own issues around tariffs.
They are off the planet.
So I just wanted to finish our session, though, Avery, on the Senator Harris, the new Vice President-elect, and Joe Biden. Not very long. We'll just talk about. I want to talk about so it's kind of like a change in pace and a change in focus, and I think it's helpful to understand what this change is all about. And I've just got a couple of little snips that will help us to better understand this, I think.
You chose hope and unity, decency, science, and yes, truth. You chose Joe Biden as the next president of the United States of America. And so I am thinking about her and about the generations of women, Black women, Asian, white, Latina, Native American women, who throughout our nation's history have paved the way for this moment tonight. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy. All the women who have worked to secure and protect the right to vote for over a century, 100 years ago with the 19th Amendment, 55 years ago with the Voting Rights Act, and now in 2020 with a new generation of women in our country who cast their ballots and continued the fight for their fundamental right to vote and be heard. You chose.
So the two things I wanted to talk about was equity and fairness. So this complete change to let's not attack each other. Let's try and build. And Biden talks a bit about that in his speech too. But the primary thing was that she was there to talk about women.
Yeah.
And how important women are in this process. And I think that that's outstandingly different, probably from any other vice presidential speech, primarily because there has never been one.
Yeah. Well, she's the first female, first African American, first Asian American to win even the nomination in the first African American or Asian American to win nomination for the vice president.
Her father was from Jamaica.
Yeah,
actually.
Her mother was from India.
And mother's
father
from
from
India,
Jamaica. Yeah. And she's the first woman of color to have been nominated. Right? She's the first woman of color and the first woman to actually win.
That's right. And I think the thing for me though is that she's her purpose, I think, is to unite all the women.
Yeah,
because that's an incredible. And if you can get to the women, particularly working class women, you can. You'll probably change the voting pattern in the United States forever.
Yeah.
Or for a long time at least. And I think she'll resonate with.
I think so.
Certainly will resonate with African American women.
Yeah.
And I think because of who she is, she'll resonate with lots of women.
With the, during the primaries, she was my number 2 choice.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, who was your first choice? Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I've often thought what a different election it would have been had Bernie been whether that would just polarize people even more.
I think if Bernie had been the nominee, it would have been more polarizing.
Yeah. I reckon.
I mean, he's got great ideas, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that it would have been much more difficult for the Democrats to win it.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I've got to finish this in a second because I've got my wife trying to call me via Messenger. So who knows? Because she's in Queensland at the moment.
Okay.
So I just wanted to finish on. Yeah, just wanted to finish on Biden's stuff.
I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you placed in me. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States. And work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people to win the confidence of all of you. And for that is what America, I believe, is about. It's about people. And that's what our administration will be all about. I sought this office to restore the soul of America, to rebuild the backbone of this nation, the middle class, and to make America respected around the world again. And to unite us here at home. It's the honor of my lifetime that so many millions of Americans have voted for that vision. And now, the work of making that vision is real. It's a task, the task of our time. And I'm humbled.
So, and I think that was the important point of that, was about Harris and the getting women.
Yeah.
And his is about uniting everybody. So
yeah.
I thought that was the theme, and it's kind of, when you think about it, it's kind of pretty refreshing.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that I found really refreshing listening to him is Devine referred to him as a senile old man. Right?
Nothing too senile about that.
He speaks in complete sentences, unlike Trump.
Yeah,
right?
Mate,
he started out with a theme there. He went right through for a couple of minutes there on that theme. Didn't diverge from that theme once. Trump would have hit 20 different subjects in that time.
That's right. And if you want to talk about senile old men, just think about us.
Yeah.
Basically.
We manage, but we speak in complete sentences.
Well, yeah, I do
Trump
sometimes.
Doesn't.
That's true. That's true. So, mate, I've got to shoot. So it's been a fabulous conversation, though. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, mate, as always. And we'll catch up during the week, I guess, to have more conversations on things that matter. Is that right?
We will do.
Good on you, buddy. And I just wish everybody to subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when there are other messages or other podcasts. Okay, thanks everybody. Take care, look after yourself, and be safe.